Welcome to Audit Archive, where we run you through some of the most questionable and rather atrocious police encounters. Today, we're looking at a case where an innocent man was arrested just because of wearing his helmet inside a store. On August 6, 2019, 22-year-old Freedom Christopher Fandler was riding his motorcycle to work when he stopped by a Walmart in Sahuarita, Arizona. He parked his bike near the store's entrance and walked inside without taking any of his motorcycle gear off. This included his helmet too. As Mr. Fandler entered the store, he was listening to music through a pair of wireless earphones. This minor detail is to be noted as it played a major role in this incident. As Mr. Fandler walked around the store and searched through different aisles, just like any other customer would, he was approached by one of the store's managers who appeared to try and grab Mr. Fandler's attention. However, Mr. Fandler failed to notice this and continued walking along without acknowledging the store manager. Approximately 1 minute later, Mr. Fandler was approached by the store manager once again, but this time from behind. While keeping in mind the fact that Mr. Fandler was listening to music inside his helmet, it comes as no surprise that Mr. Fandler had no idea that anyone was possibly calling him from behind. Therefore, Mr. Fandler continued to shop around and had zero clue about what was about to happen. After being ignored multiple times, the store manager felt the need to call 911 as he apparently deemed Mr. Fandler's behavior suspicious. While Mr. Fandler went on to shop for a few more items, officers from the Sahuarita Police Department were well on their way to the Walmart store, and what they had in mind was that a possible shooting could take place at the store. Mr. Fandler checked out at a counter and stopped at a bench near the store exit so he could organize his backpack and safely carry all the items he had just purchased. Amidst this, 3 officers entered the store and immediately made contact with Mr. Fandler.
Hey bud, you got some ID on you?
The officers approached Mr. Fandler and immediately demanded his ID without explaining the situation to him. Mr. Fandler initially failed to respond to the officers, once again due to his wireless earphones, but eventually noticed one of the officers standing next to him and asked the officer to hold on so he could pause the music and speak with him. Mr. Fandler, who was clearly confused at the time, immediately complied with the officer's demand and provided his ID, but not without rightfully asking the officer what was going on.
You have some ID on you.
Then, the officer told Mr. Fandler that he had been allegedly ignoring the store management after being asked to remove his helmet several times.
Yeah, management's been asking you to take your helmet off while you're walking around in the store and you're just ignoring them. What are you talking about, man?
Amidst this, a second officer aggressively ordered Mr. Fandler to take his helmet off, and Mr. Fandler complied once again.
Dude, do me a favor, take your helmet off. You're not going to speak with us with your helmet on.
Okay. Let's take your helmet off.
As Mr. Fandler was taking off his helmet, he told one of the officers that he was listening to music and that it might have been the reason why he failed to acknowledge anyone trying to speak to him.
I'm sorry?
After the officer took a look at Mr. Fandler's ID, he asked Mr. Fandler if he had purchased anything from the store. To this, Mr. Fandler provided the officer with the receipt, which proved his claim.
Would you make a purchase?
Yeah, that's fine. Dropping everything, man. Yeah.
At this point, Mr. Fandler's explanation was more than enough to clear out the misunderstanding between him and the store manager. However, it was only when one of the officers spoke to the store manager that things began to escalate.
So he said that he had music playing in his helmet.
I walked right up to the like I'm talking to you right now. Stood right there.
Okay.
The store manager confidently asserted that he had approached and even stood beside Mr. Fandler multiple times. He also alleged that he had followed Mr. Fandler halfway through the store.
So did you see the manager basically walk up right to your face and ask you to take off your helmet? How did you not see that?
I saw him talking, but he's got a headset on.
I'm standing right next to you. Right next to you. I came up and I said, sir,
I thought you were going this way. I didn't hear you.
I said, stop. I followed you halfway throughout the store.
However, the CCTV footage told an entirely different story. During Mr. Fandler's 10-minute shopping trip, the store manager only approached him twice, and even then, from a distance. The first time, the manager simply gestured towards Mr. Fandler's helmet. The second time, the manager approached Mr. Fandler from behind. Considering the limited visibility caused by the helmet and the manager's distance, it's not surprising that Mr. Fandler failed to notice the manager's presence. Without questioning any other witnesses, reviewing any security footage, or getting Mr. Fandler's side of the story, the officers questioned him while assuming that the manager was being truthful.
Let me ask you something. What's the purpose of keeping the helmet on?
It's just faster to get to work, man. Like I said, I'm on my way to work.
Where do you work at?
Work at Jim Click. Right
Okay.
there.
So you walk through the store. What'd you buy?
I bought a sandwich, a Gatorade, 2 peaches, a scrubber, 4 pens, and a toothbrush.
Mr. Fandler continued to answer all their questions and finally got the chance to share his side of the story and provide some much needed clarity to the situation. Mr. Fandler told the officers that he had kept his helmet on just so he could get back on his way to work more quickly. He also told them what exactly he was shopping for and mentioned that he walked into several different stores before without taking his helmet off and was never told to do otherwise.
I couldn't
So
find a
you
basket,
keep the helmet on, you walk around,
Yeah, I do that
grab
at
all
the
this
Safeway,
stuff.
I go to the other Safeway, I go Fry's. Except for when I go to the bank. I've never had any issues where I was like, take it off, or a sign saying that you need to have it off. And like I said,
That's why the manager asked you to take it off.
Like I said, I didn't hear him. I had music playing throughout the
Okay.
You didn't see me. I'm standing right in front of you.
I saw you there, and then I saw you talk, but like again, you have a headset on, so
I can't put my hands on you to get your attention. I was standing right next to you.
I didn't.
Just like I'm standing
I
here with
didn't
the
see
officer.
you from next to me.
I stood right in front of you, just like I'm standing here. I said, I need you to stop and listen to me. You totally ignored me and kept walking.
Sir,
At this point, one of the officers, namely Officer John George, intervened in the investigation and had an emotional outburst that was completely unnecessary and uncalled for.
stop him now, okay? You're an argumentative person, and I am not the person you want to argue with.
Officer George called Mr. Fandler an argumentative person and threatened him, saying that he was not the person that Mr. Fandler should be arguing with.
You need to take
Go
this
ahead.
hand and you need to go like this and pull your head out of your ass, okay? Because you're walking around in a store hiding your face. There's shooters that go on all over the place. This man comes up to you and you want to play. You got a little Senna headpiece going on that you can't stop. You need to listen to learn, not listen to reply. You need to turn that little switch off in your brain that you want to run your mouth and argue every time somebody tells you something. Because this is disturbing the peace. You can go to jail and not go to work. So what's the choice you're going to make, hardhead?
To make matters worse, Officer George then ordered Mr. Fandler to stop talking. This essentially violated Mr. Fandler's First Amendment right to free speech. According to the First Amendment, free speech means the free and public expression of opinions without censorship, interference, or restraint by the government. Therefore, in this case, Officer George essentially deprived a citizen of free speech, something which is unconstitutional and unlawful.
You gonna quit walking around businesses with a helmet on, scaring the hell out of people to where you got massive cops all over the place, rifles outside waiting for a shooter to come out? Laugh. But that's where we're at. So pull your head out of your ass and quit arguing every time somebody tells you something. I'm telling you, look at what you're doing. You keep wanting to argue with me. I'm not the guy you want to argue with.
Wasn't trying to argue.
That's why you keep talking. Stop talking.
Okay, fine. Cool.
Following Officer George's unprofessional behavior, Mr. Fandler decided to remain silent and chose not to speak with any of the officers on the scene. Despite this, the officers and the store manager continued to question Mr. Fandler. The store manager also proceeded to exaggerate the incident yet again. As a result, the officers decided to place Mr. Fandler under arrest immediately.
I was gonna see if you want to trespass.
Yeah, I don't want to trespass. I don't want that.
Okay, so officially being trespassed from the store, don't come back to Walmart. Come back to Walmart, manager, anyone sees you, you get arrested for that. How many times did you ask him to leave?
At least. Just like he's ignoring you. I walk half the store with him, following him right to the side to ask him. I told him many times that officers were coming out and he just kept walking.
I would say so. I'd say we've been to pressure. Why not?
So,
Especially his current behavior.
You're asking about all the pieces stores?
5 or 6 times. Walk right next to him, just like we're walking right
You're
now.
under arrest for trespassing. You were told to leave the store And you didn't want to
You want me to
cooperate.
take my jacket off?
Nope, I want you to leave your jacket on.
Right there, please.
Mr. Fandler was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct. He was transported to the Pima County Adult Detention Complex, where he was detained for more than 17 hours. Soon after his release, his charges were dropped too. However, Mr. Fandler went on to file a lawsuit against the Sahuarita Police Department, claiming that he was illegally searched, falsely arrested, maliciously prosecuted, and publicly defamed by the officers. It is to be noted that before filing the lawsuit, Mr. Fandler filed a notice of claim in which he offered the town to settle the case for $250,000. However, the offer was rejected, and Mr. Fandler subsequently moved on with the lawsuit. By September 1st, 2020, both the town of Sahuarita and the Sahuarita Police Department denied any wrongdoing and planned to dismiss the lawsuit. As per the plan, 3 months later, a judge dismissed the lawsuit with no further proceedings. Meanwhile, Officer George was fired that month for reasons unrelated to this case, where he allegedly tased a driver who then settled the incident for $15,000 with the town. Mr. Fandler's attorney said that the case isn't over. This is an easily corrected matter on a technical issue, which is why the court's order gives us this opportunity. He also stated that we will take the appropriate steps and continue on our path to obtain justice for Mr. Fandler and to remedy this practice that threatens anyone who offends Walmart's management with a false arrest. Staying true to his words, Mr. Fandler's attorney has since refiled the lawsuit, and as the date of this recording, an outcome is yet to be released. Be sure to check out our previous video where we cover another outrageous police encounter.